Like there is nothing, it's all gone. And we're like, what kind of prepping is that? I am out in one of our pantries. This is a pantry that we call our emergency food pantry. We have all kinds of food in here. So it's a small space, but we have other pantries in different places that we store our food. But this is our one that we have different foods in here. We also have an area in here that's kind of tucked to the side. I maybe shared it once before. And that is our food buckets. And that is food like if we weren't able to use some of this food, it's tucked off to the side and it's in like food containers. And I will maybe put like a little picture here on what they are. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before, but a lot of you guys, if you guys are prepping, you guys know what these food buckets are. So we have a couple of them for our family. I don't share a lot of that with you guys. I mainly just share the food that we have on hand. That is strictly emergency. So that, you know, if time comes where we get more, I'll share that with you guys. But for right now, we just have a couple back there. So for our food, this is stuff that we use like on a regular basis, but a lot of it too is food storage. So some of the stuff that we have in food buckets, that's our emergency food, and that is long-term storage. I did have a comment on my channel, I think it was on a different video though, on how storing food out in the garage might not be a good idea. So a lot of people will have cellars and different areas that they store their food. I know other people that will store food in their bedroom, like under their bed and different places, as long as it's a dry, dark place. A lot of people will do that. I know the temperature needs to be at a certain degrees for you to store food. So in the room that I have, we have it partially insulated. This is an area in our garage that doesn't get a lot of heat. So this is regulated in a good temperature. Some of our other stuff is out in the garage, but we try to keep our garage at a certain temp anyways, knowing that we have food out here. And we don't store food out here if we know that it's going to go bad. We don't have a lot of room in our house, so this is our area that we store our food. And you can come out here, it's just I'm not ready. Okay, so this is an area that we store our food just because we want to store food and we want to store food for long term, but we can't do it in our garage house area because there's no room in there. So we made an area, or Lauren made an area out in the garage for us to store food, and then I'll show you our other pantry in a minute. We have 3 pantries. So we have a snack pantry, that one's in our house, and then we have the 2 out in the garage. I'm working on doing another pantry area. I would like for us to take down this wall and make this room bigger if that ever gets to that point. We also talked about putting a hole in the ground here and building an underfloor food storage that way. We have other ideas that way we want to store food. If it ever gets to that point that we can do that, that's what we're going to do. So let me go over all of the stuff that we have in here, and then we're going to restock it. One of the things that I do when I do our food storage, I take pictures, and I mentioned this in other videos. I take a picture, I sit down, and then I order what we need for in our pantry. So I did have questions about seasonings and how to store seasonings, and I'm probably going to do some of that in this video and just share with you guys different ways to store your seasoning. So we have a lot of our seasonings right here. I'm going to be adding more to this today, but I'm also going to show you another way that you can combine your seasonings to make it a little bit easier to store. And I will go over that later. There's a way to like bulk it instead of having all these little containers. And then I also mentioned that he might put something back here for me to put all my seasonings, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. All right, so I'm trying to think what else. So a lot of things that we have in here is our emergency food, and then some stuff that I use for canning and stuff is in here. It's a small space, but we are going to use it as best as we can to store what we have, what we keep bringing in and stuff like that. So I want to start bringing in new things if we can, but we're just trying to figure out like what we all want to have in here. So something kind of funny. So sometimes we'll come out here and we're looking for things or ramen noodles or whatever. Could we store everything out here? And there's a couple times that we'll come out here and we don't have it. Like there is nothing. It's all gone. And we're like, what kind of prepping is that? So we kind of joke with all of us in the family, we just kind of joke about it, because we're like, if you want to be a prepper and you want to store food, you better make sure that you have it on hand. So what our goal is to always have a couple cans and not go without the cans. So if we know that we're getting kind of low, we try to stock back up, and a lot of times that we miss it and we don't have it. So there was a couple times last month that we were like, why didn't we get that? Why isn't that in here? So now we just got to make sure that we have everything out here and make sure that we stock it up, you know, when we notice that things are going to be missing. So just kind of a little funny thing. So if you guys do prepping and you guys do food storage, you ever get to that point where you're like, how come I don't have that on hand? So I went without like brown sugar and powdered sugar, and I can't remember, there was something else that we didn't have, and I was like, why don't we have this? We store food. This is weird. So this last grocery haul, I got some powdered sugar because we needed it. And then the last time he got some brown sugar, we went without some noodles recently, and we always store noodles. So it's just one of them things that were like kind of off the list. So I do have a printable that I leave down below. Now it's just a free download. I think you got to put your email in just to print it off, but it's a pantry list and then also a grocery list. If you guys keep track of what's in your pantry, let me know. Otherwise, I have a printable for you guys, and you guys can keep track then of what you have. I actually need to fill out mine, and I talked about that, where I would love to have just like a notebook and write everything down on what we all have in here, because we have a lot of stuff, you just don't see it. We have it in different containers and stuff. So then we know, like I would know, sometimes Lauren puts things out here and I don't know that it's out here. So them are the things that I need to just go through and figure out what we all have in here. Okay, so on this side, we do our like salts, peppers, seasonings. We have some up here. We don't have enough room for all of it to be in one row, and that's what I want to do. I also am going to show you guys what you can do to put this all together instead of having separate little containers. Either we can put these all in mason jars so we don't have all these tiny ones, and then we can just scoop them out. Another thing with storing food out in the garage, we need to put things in mason jars if they're not already in a glass container, or you can put them in food buckets. You cannot store regular food out in the garage without them being in a safe container. So for us to have these in plastic, I'd rather turn that into putting them in mason jars and just labeling them. Like onion powder would just be in one jar, and then all the other seasonings. Or one of the things I'm going to show in the video is we're going to make up some seasonings so you can have them on hand and you don't need to make it when you're cooking or whatever. You already have it. So one of the things that I have stored in my other pantry is some soup base mix. We have that put together whenever we need it. But this is what we have over here is our seasonings and stuff. And then we have sriracha. We had a problem getting this for a while, so I got a couple of them just this last couple grocery hauls. Our barbecue sauce, some shrimp sauce, tartar sauce, some other random stuff, Worcestershire sauce, and we have our cornstarch. Baking soda I have in a different area, and I need to probably bring that out here and get that back up here. I do not have any more salsa than that, so that is something I need to order. We have syrup right there I need to order. We keep some vinegar over in the emergency area and the other pantry. We have some dish soap and our oils, Crisco. We also do lard from our pigs that is in our fridge. And then we have some sauerkraut. I've been doing some stuff with sauerkraut. We have water chestnuts, and we don't go through a lot of them, but I would like to get more of them. And for over here, we save a lot of chicken in a can. We also use chicken in a can, so we need to get more of that. And then our SpaghettiOs, we use this very randomly. This is more of a food storage kind of, or a food emergency kind of thing. We have our Sloppy Joe mix, tomato soup. We have our ketchup, our soy sauce, some pickles, and then our jellies and peanut butter. We're going to be adding more to that. And last time I didn't get any pizza sauce, so I got some this time. And then our beef stew. Our spaghetti, I got more spaghetti. So like here, this doesn't go there. This goes here. So this is what I do sometimes, and I will come out here and I will make sure everything is in order so that it makes sense for when we put this stuff out there. I have one of the kids, so Declan is in the house right now, and he is getting everything ready for me to put out here. So we are going to organize this and get things put together. We also store some bags out here. We have our mason jars. We are going to try to figure out where to put all our mason jars. This is going to be changed up. I don't know. We need to put them somewhere else. Dehydrator here. We will do something with that soon. Lauren did some stuff already, and we have that all like canned up. These are food buckets, and we have milk, rice, ramen noodles. We have cornmeal in this one. We have our pressure cooker. I'm going to be using that soon. Some mason jars, mason jar lids, all of this stuff. This needs to get put back into a container. So that is my goal this year also. We have more stuff over here. We have coffee, our pickling lime. Okay, so we have our potatoes over here. A lot of them are sprouting already, and that is going to be good for planting this year. And then we have more food buckets. And some more food buckets. We do kombucha, and that is our jars. And then up here we have our medical stuff. So we have medical stuff here. We have medical stuff. We have our lanterns he just got. Up there we have like oils, beef, or like flavorings. And we have coffee. And then he has more potatoes up there. And what else do we have? So back here, we have like our first aid kits, and we have all our medical stuff back here also. So that's that little area back there with our food buckets. We have other stuff back there and our jars. So one of the goals that we need to do is get a lot of this bulky stuff out of here, like our canning stuff. This all needs to be organized. We started this about 2 years ago. I think maybe about 2 years ago, and we're still kind of adjusting everything to get things to work the way that we need to, and we're learning as we go. So this wall is available, and Lauren just needs to put some shelves up, and we're going to be doing some stuff over here. We got our baby chicks right here. This is our other pantry. This is where we put mainly our canned goods, and then down here we have baking soda, vinegar, tomatoes, juice, apple cider vinegar. Our olive oil don't belong there. That goes in the other pantry. Applesauce. I did just get applesauce on our pickup order, but that is in little containers that we just put in the fridge. So I do need to get more applesauce. And then we have this area right here. So I have our pancake mix, bread flour, brown sugar. Back here is some random stuff. We have cornmeal back there. I canned up some jam this year. And banana bread. We have canned banana bread, self-rising flour, potatoes, potato flakes. We have all our sugar right here. And we have some oatmeal. And then we have our noodles off to the side. And then we have some beans up there. And this is the area where we're going to be putting our canned food when I start this year. We also are going to build off of this. I think he's going to make more shelves for me to be able to do that. This stuff up here is so random that we can start putting stuff up there, but we haven't needed to do that yet. So I labeled everything one time, and I might even change this and make it a little bit nicer, or we can take this down and make shelving a different way. I'm not sure what we're gonna do yet, but what I would like to do is have this whole entire wall of the garage just for food. So we have our canned fruit, we have some soups, we don't ever really use them, and then our corn, green beans, carrots. I just put olives down there today, and then some sweet peas. We have our tomato stuff up here. It's kind of mixed, but in rows. And then our bacon and whole potatoes. I just got more potatoes, so we're going to see where we can put them. But this is what we try to do. We try to keep it in order, so when the kids want to help us, they know exactly where everything is going. And then over here is where I put our normal flour, and I don't have it canned up yet. So that is what I'm going to do before I get done with this video, I will show you that. Last time we needed more sugar, and I think that was in my last pantry one. We needed more sugar, so we did that, and we have enough for now. And then down here, so when you store sugar, you do not need an oxygen absorber. You can suck the air out if you guys have one of the machines. That works out great when you are storing food out in the garage or somewhere where you don't want insects or bugs and things to get at it. You are going to want to suck the air out of what you're using. So a lot of this is either the air is sucked out, or we have oxygen absorbers. So one of the precautionaries when you put food out in the garage is you have to make sure that you're sealing it the right way. You do not want bugs in your food. So we looked into a lot of this before we started doing that. And we also have other friends that store food in their basement, so they do a lot of this too. You just have to make sure that you're doing it the right way. I did share it in my last video of me taking the air out or using my machine to do that. A lot of you guys might use it for like packing up food and putting it in the freezer. It's the same machine that you would do that. So a lot of this stuff is already done. I don't do sugar. And our flour, we go through it so fast that I don't even do it with our flour. We do have a Mylar bag that is up there with sugar in it. I have a lot of Mylar bags. I haven't needed to use them yet. So we have so many mason jars. I have people that just give us mason jars, so we use a lot of that. And then as for the canned goods and stuff, I know a lot of people will rotate as they buy, and that's another thing that I did before I cleaned this off. I don't know how many videos ago, but I took everything off and I looked at the date and I ended up getting rid of stuff that was outdated. So that was another thing. I know some people will keep outdated stuff. It all depends on your preference. I just made sure that everything was in order and how I wanted it to look. So we are going to stock this up and get this done, and I'll come back. All right, so what I ended up doing is putting all the salt there. We have our pepper, we have, or salt and pepper, and then we have our cornstarch there. I do have salt in one of these buckets. We have a couple containers. And for our seasonings, I was able to clean up that one roll, and I put the baked beans over there instead. So I put that there. We have our spaghetti sauce. We have our pizza sauce that I filled up over there. So that is all good. That's the most that we can put there. We do have more beef, I think, kind of tucked in down there. We find different areas if we need to put our food, but that is all stocked back up. So we have the Tirani caramel that Lauren uses for his coffee, then our peanut butter and stuff. We need more room for like bigger containers. We need deeper walls. But this is what we're going to start out with. So if you guys are intimidated by starting and because you don't have a lot of space, you guys need to find something that you can use, some kind of shelving or whatever that you can put in a small space if that's what you have to work with, because that's kind of what we're doing, is we're making it work. And you just kind of think of new ways to get it going if you want to store food. All right, so for our seasonings, I have onion powder, parsley, oregano, Italian, ground cinnamon, meat tenderizer, ground thyme, ground mustard, sesame seeds, minced onion, paprika, smoked paprika, regular paprika, chili powder, garlic salt, garlic powder, and ground cumin. I do not have cayenne pepper that I need to get. I would like to have a lot more than this, but like I said, if you're able to put these in mason jars, this would like be a little bit nicer in where you could do. So like if you have a regular mason jar like this and you're able to put that all in there, you would have that one in there and then you would just pull it out. So one of the things with that though, we have one of them sealers right here that we use for stuff like this. So you can do that too and seal it in your mason jars. I'm not worried about this being out here because we're going to be doing something else with our seasonings on this video. So stay to the end because I will show you what I'm going to do with some of these seasonings. I do have little mason jars that we can fill this stuff up with. There's all different ways that you can store food if you need to. So if you guys have ideas for me, please leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear from everyone on how you guys store your food, if you guys do food pantries and stuff. But this is what it looks like, and we are pretty good so far. So I have one thing of mayo. We are going to be doing some stuff with that. And some of the stuff that I have in here is going to be shared on other videos. I try to share what I'm learning and new ways of making food from scratch and different things. So I'm learning. If you are learning, let me know in the comments down below. If you are just starting out with food storage, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear everybody's ideas on where they started, how they started. That would be fun to listen and interact with you guys. All right, so Declan helped me with putting the rest of the food on the shelf here. So we have our vinegar, baking soda, apple cider vinegar. I still didn't move the olive oil over yet, but we have our fruit all in there now. I need to get more pears. We have peaches, fruit, cocktail, pineapple, and peaches and stuff back there. So we have more fruit cocktail than anything, but I actually could be putting more up here if I got rid of all the soup in the can. We don't really use that. I could probably put that on the top shelf and just have this bottom one for all our fruit. So that would be a good idea if I switch that around. So if you guys are not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing that. I do pantry restocks every month and I share a lot of grocery hauls and different things with you guys, but I will probably change this up, and throughout the next like couple months or 2023, we're going to be changing some stuff up with this. So we're going to be having more canning stuff, and you guys can follow along as I learn how to do more food storage and canning and stuff this year. All right, so we put our green beans, we have our corn. I could get more of something right there, or I could maybe take all my refried beans and put that down here, or I could be putting something, maybe like my baking stuff could be moved down there, or my whole potatoes could probably get moved down there, because I ended up having to change that a little bit. I didn't have enough room up there for the potatoes, so I put it back behind the corn. But maybe that's what I can do next time. This is what I did, and then we put some tomato paste and stuff up there. But maybe next month I will change this around, put new tags up, and figure out how to do this a little bit nicer. But this is what I have for right now. I do need to pack my flour yet. We're gonna come back and I will put that together, and then at the end of the video I'm going to share with you guys what I'm doing with my seasonings. So I got my flour all in mason jars. I have 6, 7, 8 of them. I actually could have probably did like 4 more because I have some flour in the house, but that'll just keep in there for my bread and stuff like that. But so we have our flour, our pancake mix, our bread flour. I have other flour in the house also, like rye flour, wheat flour, and then self-rising flour. I also have more in the house. And then all our sugar is up there. So that is a lot of like our baking stuff. And then I have the baking soda and stuff down here. So I got enough of that over there, and I probably should can that. When it comes to our baking soda, I don't usually worry about it being in the garage, but if I'm going to be using it for baking, I'm going to put it in the house. And if I need a good box of baking soda, I would just make sure I purchase it and then just keep it in the house. So if I keep it out in the garage, we're going to be using that for other things. I'm not going to worry about using it for food. So a lot of times if I have food out in the garage, it's going to be in mason jars or Mylar bags or in a food bucket, just because of insects and stuff. But we haven't had any problems. We've been doing this for the last couple of years now, and we haven't had any problems with our food being out here. The temperature and everything is pretty much under control. So one problem that we had before we did food storage is we had a refrigerator replaced out here, and it wasn't working right because of the temp of our garage. So we had that all fixed over. So now I have a fridge behind me, a fridge freezer behind me. I have a freezer chest off to the side here, and then behind me in the back of the garage, we have a freezer chest and 2 upright freezers that we keep in here, and we haven't had any problems with it not running or not working. So we try to keep the temp, regulated to the best that we can. I know there was just some concern with someone asking, how do we store a lot of our food in the garage if that's going to cause a problem with it going bad, and we haven't had any problems. So if you guys have a good area that you can store it, that the temperature can be controlled to what it needs to. Now, if you're going to have an overly hot garage, or an area that's going to have direct sunlight, that's probably not a good area for you guys to store your food. So a lot of times, because we know that we have food in the garage, we don't leave our garage door open, even in like hot weather. We try to keep it shut so that the temp in the garage is at the same temp. I was able to get all my powdered sugar in these jars. We are using, I always think they're like a different size than what they are. This is half-gallon jars. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 powdered sugar. So this is my first time doing powdered sugar, but I've been doing sugar cookies lately, and I need a lot of powdered sugar. So I want to be able to can them up and put them out in the garage. So I got that done. And then now we're gonna move on to doing some seasonings. So I have 3 different seasonings that we're gonna put out in the garage. I'm gonna do, I don't know. I'm doing a bigger batch than what the original recipe is. So I'm just gonna do 3 different seasonings. We're gonna be making taco seasoning. I shared that in another video, but I'm gonna make it just a little bit different. Taco seasoning, onion soup mix, and ranch. I think it was ranch that we're gonna be making. So we're just gonna make bigger amounts of it so we can just store it in mason jars. And then I'll probably seal that up too. I have my sealer back here So we'll probably seal that up in mason jars, and then I'll just store that out in the garage. I might make little ones just to keep in the house here, but we're just gonna, like, I don't know. So the recipe asked for like a tablespoon. I did like 6 tablespoons. So I am just going to do a bigger batch. And then if I have to add more to it to fill up the jar, I'm going to figure that out as I do it. But that's what we're going to do. So with our pantry, with all the stuff that I have out there for seasonings, I kind of planned it out that way, that I was going to use it for doing this. And then also I was starting to give some to our chickens, like putting it in the feed. So we have a bunch of seasonings here, but it's hard to store out in our pantry just because I have so much. So we're just going to make it into something right now. So that's what I was thinking of sharing with you guys. First recipe that we're going to do the ranch seasoning. So I have mine like more than doubled for recipe. So I have parsley, dill, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and black pepper. So that is the one that we're gonna do first, and I will leave the recipe down below. If you guys want me to give you the recipe with it just like a small package, like just the original recipe, let me know in the comments. Done doing the ranch seasoning. Now we're going to move on to the onion soup mix. So there's a lot of seasoning in this one, so I'm not going to go over it right now, but I will leave it in the description and maybe even in the comments. And then you guys can decide if you want a smaller one of this. So for me, I want to be able to fill mainly my whole jar, so I could have maybe put a little bit more in there. So this one I ended up, the person that did the recipe, she only did it like per packet, so it was just like 1 serving, and I want to be able to have it on the shelf for multiple servings. So I ended up doubling what I already like, more than tripled. So with the onion soup mix, I already did that. I made this recipe a little bit bigger for what I want, and if I need to make it more, then I'll do that. But right now we're just gonna go with the recipe that I have, and this one is 1/4 cup package. It's just one of them regular onion soup mix packages, the 1/4 cup of this recipe. So I will leave that down below, and then you guys will have that. My ranch seasoning, I sealed it up. So I have my little sealer here just because I did the powdered sugar. So I wanted to have this for sealing this up too. All right, so we're gonna move on to the onion soup mix, and I will leave that down below. Switch it out because this is just one of the ingredients. This is the minced onion. That is not enough room for me to add everything else. The 1/2 gallon size for the onion soup mix. so I have all my seasonings and stuff all packed up right here. I'm just gonna find a space out in the garage for me to store this. Some of this might go in Lauren's pantry, and then some of this might go in my pantry, just because they'll be able to find it a little bit easier. And like I said before, I might even put some of this in the house in little jars that I can keep in our cabinet, and that way we can just use out of there, and this can be more of our long-term kind of storage. But let me know in the comments down below if you guys store food like this, if you put stuff in mason jars, or if you use Mylar bags. Just let me know. Let me know if you guys want me to share more like seasoning recipes and stuff with you. Let me know that. And then otherwise, if you guys have any other thing that I can store in my garage, leave them in the comments. That would help me out on what else I can put out there. So hopefully you guys liked today's video. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.